Hi guys, it's Jess, an incoming intern doctor here in the Philippines, and today I would like to share to you the 10 tips on how to survive medical school. So if you want to know these tips, then just keep on watching. I would like to make a disclaimer here, guys. The 10 tips that I am about to share to you consists of those things that I should have known when I was still studying in med school. These are the things that I kind of took for granted. Now, I would like to share this to you para matuto din kayo sa mga pagkukulang ko at saka pagkakamali ko noong first 3 years of medical school. Let's go to the first tip. Tip number 1, study the book and not the handout. You buy books, hindi lang para i-display yan sa bookshelves because, aminin man natin o hindi, the amount or the bulk of material that you need to study when you are in medical school is very much greater than the amount of time you have for studying. What most medical students tend to do is that they just study the handout instead. Hindi na natin binabasa yung mismong libro, which is, it better explains the concept or it better explains the topic than what's in the handout. Kasi sa handout, it's already in an outline form. If you are studying the topic for the first time, for sure, hindi mo yun maiintindihan agad. And if you're just reading the outline, for sure, i-memorize mo lang yan. And memorizing something that you don't understand won't lead to long-term memory. So what's important is that you study the book prior to your lecture. Days before that discussion, siguro naman may mga binibigay ng course outline sa inyo kung ano yung mga topics na kailangan nyong aralin. Just make sure that before you enter the lecture room or in cases today na online lecture siya, before you start your online classes, make sure na nabasa nyo na yung topic na yun sa libro. And while studying the book, you highlight the important details. Let's proceed to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is you should take notes during your lecture. You are to attend the lecture not just for the attendance. You are to attend the lecture because you want to learn. An advantage of reading the book, as I said in tip number 1, is during the lecture, mas madali mong maiintindihan at mas madali mong mapupully grasp yung concept na tinuturo. While taking notes, you don't have to jot down everything. You don't have to write what the professor said verbatimly. You can summarize or you can rephrase, kasi that way you can write down notes on how you have understood what the professor has said. What I do when I take down notes is that I do the bulletin format. What the professor emphasizes during the lecture, yun yung mga dapat nyong i-take down. Tip number 3. Review the handouts and notes after the lecture. Guilty ako dito. Kasi after the lecture, nasa na napupunta ang handouts natin, nasa na napupunta ang notes natin sa bag natin. Hindi natin binubuklat after the lecture. What I have realized is that you should review your notes, you should review the handouts after the lecture kasi it's still fresh on your memory. When I say review the handouts and notes after lecture, it means review, not study. Most med students, including me, we only study the concept after lecture. Kumbaga, yun yung pinaka-first time na aaralin natin yung concept because we haven't read the book prior to the discussion. In the med school, what you have learned in your undergrad for 1 semester, you will only learn that for like 2 hours, 4 hours. Ganun ka fast track or ganun ang pacing natin sa med school. That's why it's very, very important for you to self-study first before the lecture and review after the lecture. Survival tip number 4, don't study just before the exams. Ako din. Ganyan ako dati. Sige, saan na lang ako mag-aaral parang days before the exam. Malay pa naman ang exam, mag-chill muna ako. You don't study just for the exams. Kaya ka pumasok sa medical school because you wanted to be a doctor. You study for the future. Study for the valida. You should study for the physician licensure exam ahead of time. And most importantly, you should study for your future patients. When you are the only person in between the patient and his death, wala kang alam paano mo ililigtas yung pasyente mo. The main goal of getting into med school is not just merely passing the exam, but to become a better doctor in the future. Tip number 5, never ever procrastinate. I myself is a great procrastinator. Like, super pagod na ako sa lecture, bakit pa ako mag-aaral pag-uwi? Masakit na yung ulo ko, hindi na kaya ng utak ko, kaya matutulog na lang ako.
Eventually,
Speed up while the road is still clear, sabi nga nila. Don't do tomorrow what you can do today. Always try to finish all the tasks you have at hand. Kasi kayo din ang mahihirapan. And what happens when you procrastinate is that kapag malapit na yung exam, you just rush to review. You don't have a great grasp on what you are studying kasi nga nagmamadali kayo, parang sige, mabasa ko na lang, madaanan ko na lang, kasadahan na lang ito, ganyan. In the future, like me, kapag malapit na yung big examination, like the revalida, ganyan, it's too overwhelming kasi ang dami-dami mong kailangang aralin ulit. Which is connected to our tip number 6, it's do not ever cram. Late ko na lang din na-realize yan. Kasi, crammer din ako. And, what I failed to realize is that I should have studied, even if the exams, months from now pa, weeks from now pa, it's important pala na to study ahead of time. Para pag ayan na, malapit na, chill ka na lang. Kasi naman yung chill ka ngayon, magkakram ka pag malapit na yung exam, tapos pagdating na yung exam na mental block ka kasi sobrang panic mo, ganyan. Tip number 7, repeatedly study your lessons. Tinuro ng neurology professor ko before, when you try to read a concept or study a concept over and over again, should strengthen the neural connections on your brain, kaya siya nasa-stock as long-term memory. However, if you study or tend to study the concept only once, magkakaroon ng connection yung neurons nyo, but then the synapse is not that strong. But if you study it repeatedly, the synapse tends to be strengthened. Mas mahirap na siyang mabura sa utak mo. Tip number 8, avoid unhealthy competitions. Competitions are just normal. We are living in a world full of competitors. However, what we need to avoid is yung i-compare mo yung scores mo sa kaklase mo, i-compare mo yung scores mo sa batchmates mo, na ay, mas mataas siya, hindi ko na-meet yung score niya, kailangan mas taasan ko pa sa susunod, ganyan, mas matalino naman ako sa kanya, bakit mas mababa yung nakuha ko. It's not good, guys. The only time that you should look at your neighbor's bowl is to know if they also have enough, not to know or not to compare whether yours have greater food than your neighbor's bowl. Kasi tendency is that when you try to compare your scores to your classmates or your batchmates, of course, merong mas mataas. And kapag nataasan ka, anong mangyayari sa'yo? Malulungkot ka or mas mape-pressure ka lang. Medical school is full of pressure already, so wag na nating dagdagan. What you need to do is to strive to become better, not better than anyone else, but to become a better person than you were yesterday. For example, I got only 20 out of 50 bagsak. Minsan kasi we tend to like, 20 out of 50 ako, siya 15 out of 50 naman, so okay lang yan, mas mataas ako sa kanya. 20 out of 15 20 out of 50 ako. Naka 30 out of 50 siya. Kailangan kong galingan. Kailangan ko siyang mas taasan. That's not healthy, guys. What you need to do is that, 20 over 50 ako ngayon. Kailangan ko pang mag-aral lalo para sa susunod, yung score ko, umabot na sa cut-off. Or sa susunod, yung score ko, way beyond cut-off. You should always compare yourself to yourself, not to compare yourself to your neighbor because their strengths are not your strengths. Your weaknesses are not their weaknesses. Magkakaiba tayo ng study habits, magkakaiba tayo ng capacity, magkakaiba tayo ng abilities. It will never be fair to compare yourself to others. Tip number 9, have a circle of friends. The main purpose of establishing your connections or your circle of friends in medical school is not for you to cheat during the exams. No man is an island. You cannot survive medical school alone kahit pagano ka kagaling. Hindi mo kakayanin ng med school mag-isa dahil ang med school reality check, nakakabaliw po ito. Medical school is not a walk in the park. When you go to med school, you would tend to realize that med school is like 4 times or 5 times more difficult than your pre-med courses. Kailangan mo ng mga kaibigan, hindi para may kasama kang mag-isip ng sagot during exams, but then so that you have a moral support, you have someone or you have people out there to lift you up. Kasi sino bang magkakaintindihan kundi kayong mga pare-parehong pinagdadaanan lang. Huwag kang madamot kung may handout ka, kung may review work ka. I-share mo yan sa mga friends mo, i-share mo yan sa batchmates mo para when the time comes na ikaw naman yung mga kailangan, mag-share din sila sa'yo. Hindi naman tayo robot or hindi naman tayo computer na lahat ng concept kaya nating intindihin. Humility is the key. You don't know everything. Your friends might know something that you don't know. That's why it's healthy na magtanong ka din sa kanila. Hindi naman, it doesn't make you any less of a person when you ask. It doesn't make you bobo or it doesn't make you weaker individual when you ask. It just means to say na you have the courage and you have the humility to ask somebody else na alam mong mas kaya niya yun kesa sa'yo. Kapag yung friend mo din nakakita mong nahihirapan sa ganito, tapos magaling ka sa ganyang subject, don't hesitate din to approach him or her para i-guide siya na, ganito yung technique ko dyan, kaya ko siya na-memorize. So, ayun. Let's now proceed to our last tip. Sleep is for the weak. Hindi ko naman sinasabi na you should not sleep. You should not sacrifice your sleep na like hindi ka na natulog, 1 hour na lang yung tulog mo or 30 minutes lang yung tulog mo kasi aral ka ng aral. Siyempre, hindi naman tayo robot. Papagod din tayo. Kailangan din nating magpahinga, kailangan nating matulog kasi our brains won't function kapag hindi ka natulog. If it's not well rested, you won't be able to absorb. You will not be able to absorb anything. Kahit gano'n ka katalino kung wala kang tulog, wala pa din. What I mean for sleep is for the weak is that you should always remember that you have a dream that is much important than your sleep. What I mean to say is being a future doctor is not easy. Lalo na pag nasa internship ka na, nasa clerkship ka na, lalo na ang clerkship, dun mo mararanasan hindi makatulog. Swerte mo na kung maka 3 hours ka pa. Kasi mahihiya ka rin matulog kapag tulog ka, gising yung residente mo. Siyempre, nakakahiya yun. So, habang nasa med proper pa lang kayo, you should always train yourself na hindi super maging unfocused. You should always prioritize your studies. It's normal to feel tired. It's normal to take naps. Pero, when I say naps, you should always bear in mind that naps are naps. Naps, maximum of 45 minutes. Hindi nap pasarap at nap pahaba ang ating tulog. Dahil guilty din ako dyan. Pero, I have come to realize as I am going further in my career, as a medical student, nung ko nare-realize na, sana pala, hindi na lang ako natulog, sana mas mataas yung nakuha kong score, sana mas madali kong naipasa yung subject na to. Pero inuna ko kasi matulog, kasi pagod na ako, kasi inaantok ako. What I'm trying to say is that you should still sleep, pero not too much. So, yun, guys. As I've said, well back, tong mga shinare kong tips sa inyo ay hindi ko po lahat nagawa ng med school. That's why I'm sharing it to you based from my mistakes and based from the things that I just realized when I was done na sa med school, when I'm about to take the Revalida, when I'm reviewing for the Revalida. Ito yung mga na-realize ko na sana pala ginawa ko. Sana mas madali yung buhay, mas madali mag-review ulit. Literal na review na lang siya kasi recall na lang siya and I don't have to study all the concepts again, all over again. That's why, guys, yun lang ang maipapayo ko sa inyo. If you want to survive med, ayan, and when you experience delays, ayun, don't let it drag you down. Delays are but normal. Of course, normal din sa med na may mabagsak kang subjects. Normal sa med na remedials, removals, ganyan. Kasi, hello, med school na to. Hindi naman ina-expect na lahat ng tao kayang i-one take lahat ng subjects. Hindi lahat ng tao kayang maging regular. Ang importante is you should just keep going. Even if you are being dragged down, even if there are delays in life, even if your timeline was not followed, you should still keep going. It doesn't matter how slow you go. What's important is that you're making a progress. What's important is that when you feel like giving up, do not give up, because you should always bear in mind why you have started this in the first place, why you have entered med school in the first place. It's not about trying to graduate on time. It's not about trying to finish med school on time. It's about becoming a doctor who has passion for his or her patients. It's about becoming a great doctor, not just in skills, not just in knowledge, but in about dealing with patients, on how passionate you are, or how full your heart is to serve other people when you are already a doctor. That's what's important. And hindi naman kailangang mauna ka sa race. Of course, merong mauuna, merong mahuhuli, but what's important is that you should always keep your eye on the goal. You should always follow your dreams. You should always do something to make that dream come true. Just ignore the people who are trying to defy you. Ignore the people who are trying to delay your progress or pull you down, or tell you na, ay, hindi ka magiging doktor, or ay, nag-doktor ka, hindi mo naman kaya, or anything na maririnig mo sa paligid mo, may it be from strangers, from people you don't know, or from familiar people. It doesn't matter what they say. No matter what you do, the world will always have an opinion about you. That's why what's important is you follow your heart, you follow what you are passionate about. What's important is that magiging doktor ka sa bandang huli. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to hit the like button, and always please don't forget to subscribe on my channel kapag hindi ka pa po nakasubscribe, and click on the notification bell so that you would be notified when I upload a new vlog. Thank you so much for watching my sit-down vlog, and I hope to see you on the next one. Please comment on the comment box below kung may mga suggestions kayo or kung may mga gusto kayong pagawa sa akin. Basta wholesome. Ayun. So, thank Thank you guys. Bye. Thanks.